how do I say my name? As long as singasobudiswa zvakuti directors, if they decide kunankira, even though I'm not aware who they were talking to, not introducing, I find that very odd. Yeah, yeah. And you can always get my details from him, Kutimam Stauran and Nai. Yes. I'm good. If you are ready? Okay. Well, maybe I should start by saying good morning to you guys and welcome to Zanu PF HQ. This office here is responsible for research, strategy, and liaison. The liaison aspect is very important to you because this is where the groups that you were talking to are located, the affiliates. Not only do I deal with the affiliates in the sense you heard them speak, I also work with the church and all other groups that do not fit very well into the party formal structures. That's what I spend a lot of my time doing. But I think the context of our discussion this morning is essentially because of the election, the general election that we've gone through, the results and the subsequent controversies that surround it. From a ZANU PF point of view, once the election was proclaimed by the president and the date of the election arrived, I think the party and its, membership, all different categories of membership included, we did what we had to ensure that our party leader is elected as president of this country. And the outcome is what you saw. There are issues that have been raised since then. The issues about the alleged improprieties, suggestions that ZANU PF is an expert at rigging elections. We don't rig elections. We vote our leader, our MPs, and our local authorities into office. We accept where we are defeated. We take, obviously, pride in areas where we have been successful. People of Zimbabwe need to understand that the president won a very free and fair election where everyone was allowed to campaign. The world saw us go to almost every province of this country, putting up a very, very impressive record of performance in the last 5 years. We were not dreaming. We were talking about reality. If there was a dam, we could prove it. If there was a hospital improvement, we could prove it. If a road was done, we could improve it. So we could prove it. If we supported communities, we could prove it. If we put up a borehole, we could prove it. If we spoke to countries of the world and persuaded them to be friends with us, we could prove it. Everything that we spoke about could be proven. And of course, yes, the public was invited to then make a judgment on whether our record of performance and the record of those that were putting forward promises of what they wanted to do was good enough to, especially for the office of the president. And I think 2.3 million people in this country decided that Comrade Dr. Emerson Mnangagwa was the better one on the day. And I thought it was a natural thing that once that had happened, everyone should then accept, especially given the fact that everybody accepts that before this election, rather, people used to say we're violent, we're manipulative, we're forcing people. This time we gave everyone an opportunity to simply go in there and exercise their right peacefully. And I think the level of peace defied description. No one can describe what so happened that day because it was as normal as a dead person in a graveyard. There was virtually no person pointing a finger at anyone. So we've won. What's your problem? We accept the controversies coming from those who came to what you call it, to observe the election. The elections were conducted and observed. I think we should accept that when people have been invited to observe, they work within their rules, and that's all they are invited to do. No one is being invited to make a judgment. The judgment is the one that is expressed through the election result. The people of Zimbabwe, they and only they could make a decision as to goes forward. And in this country, for anybody to suggest that ZANU PF tried to use any means other than a free and fair election process is taking things too far. Um, yes, you were talking to groups of the party affiliates. These are members of the party who voluntarily organized themselves into groups that subscribe to the philosophy of ZANU-PF, but they work in specific sectors. All of them participated in the elections. They saw what happened, so they've given you their summary view on what's there. But I think there's no justification, quite frankly, to take the outcome of an election to a regional or international court. We're not talking about public opinion anymore. We're talking about the reality of what happened. So for anybody, because they were defeated, to suggest that something happened well beyond the eyes of those that were meant to observe this election is absurdity of the West order. And I think Zimbabwe is entitled to move ahead on the basis of the outcome of that election, because this is what the people of Zimbabwe want. In terms of international law, there's a degree to which anyone who is not part of this country can make an opinion, and a very strong one for that matter, as to how we organize our laws, our public policy, our plans for this country, because those are the preserve of the sovereign state. And I think that what we are seeing today, the various voices that we hear, the various actions that we see, um, these are people playing political games, and I don't think that given that we won and won freely, that we have any appetite to entertain any further encroachment by way of suggestions. Uh, of course, some from our dear friends and some from our Eastwall friends. The bottom line is that Zimbabwe has spoken, Zimbabweans have voted, Comrade Dr. Idi Mnangagwa has won. Whether people want it or not, that's the outcome. We have a very clear plan that was presented during the election period, a very clear one with a very clear vision. We've got very clear strategies meant to ensure that we achieve that vision. We have a very clear policy that does not exclude anyone from this country from participating. Yes, they can choose anyone but us, but end of day, when we've been chosen, it is our fundamental and basic right that we should go ahead and form a government in terms of what we presented to the people of Zimbabwe. That is the picture. That is the situation. Um, uh, I don't think ZANU-PF should be making any apologies to anyone. Um, it's not. It's not for me to say, but I think that the leadership at the highest level knows exactly what to take in and what not to take in from the various suggestions and advices that have been given by those whose mandate it was to observe this election. But end of day, it's all right. It's our actions as Zimbabweans, it's our decisions as Zimbabweans uh, that carries the day. And that position is now very, very clear. Anything else is, I think, kids' play. because the, the, the victorious person will be installed as leader of this country in accordance with the wishes of the people of Zimbabwe. And that is a right we could never cede or surrender or farm out to anybody. Zimbabweans and Zimbabweans alone are the ones who are going to decide what happens to this country. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Gomo. The opposition triple C has rejected the outcome of the elections and they are now endorsing fresh elections. What do you have to say about that?
I think that's sheer madness. And the part that you're talking about, fresh elections will never be held in this country. I'm not the president of this country, but I will tell you what, fresh elections will not take place. The question of rejection is their right, is it? You can't tell them not to reject, but their wish, which is if they reject, we should go back to the polls. That can never happen because everyone has already told you very clearly that the plebiscite, that the election was generally conducted in circumstances that does not lend any weight to what they are talking about. So uh, I wish them good luck in their rejection. I don't know what it is they are looking for, but they are not going to find it from ZANU-PF. ZANU-PF knows one thing, that it has won the election, that our leader is the next president, and that the leader will be the next president.
Thank you.
Dr. Gomo,
Yeah.
in the previous election, SADC was well known for endorsing the election as free and fair. I can refer you back to 2013, same as to 2018. Now that they've taken a different stance, you are now crying for. Why is it that?
Who is crown fire? We never
Like you're
crown fire.
castigating
No,
them?
no, no. Who is? Did you hear me castigate anyone?
Their
That
affiliates.
no, they are. It's their view. It's if those observers were free to air an opinion, you follow? If the observers were free to air an opinion, the affiliates have an equal right to air an opinion. Remember, these are party followers, these are party functionaries. They are not the state. The bottom line is don't create a story out of nothing. Everyone knows there was exception taken on the position that was announced by one individual within that structure. As you speak to me right now, if what you're saying was true, there was no President Cyril Ramaphosa would congratulate the president. There was no way the president of Tanzania could have done so. There was no way Botswana would have done so. So what are you talking about? Those are the members of SADC. As far as they're concerned, it's game over. They've already congratulated the winner, which means whatever else anyone has said is a sideshow. The show in town is that Comrade Dr. Idi Mnangagwa, who has been congratulated by people from the body that you're talking about, suggests that what you're talking about is immaterial and totally relevant in this case. So who said what is not an issue. What's important is what the presidents of countries within the SADC have said. Do you think that they are saying, President Idi Mnangagwa, go and talk to Chamisa and arrange for a fresh election? No. They are saying, congratulations on your success. Regardless of whoever, said what. The bottom line is that it's done and dusted, and you know it.
Maybe another question, given the recommendations which were given by the likes of SADC, EU, and AU in some of the observed nations, do you see yourself continue working with these regional international observers in the next election?
It's up to the leadership of this country. It's up to the president who then decides from time to time. But you know that the president of this country has a very clear policy, friends to all and enemy to none. So differences that arise from a process do not necessarily completely abrupt or break that relationship. No, that the president has been very clear. We are friends to all and enemy to none. But that does not mean on the day-to-day life there are no frictions that come. Frictions come and you solve them. And I think the government of Zimbabwe or the president of Zimbabwe is intelligent enough to know that he will engage, as he's always done. If there are areas that need ironing out, they'll be ironed out, well, within the framework of how states relate to each other. So, uh, is this something that is unique? I don't think so. Even at personal relationship, don't we fall out with our friends and we still go on with life? Yeah, sometimes you fall out, but that does not mean the end of life. If our parents, mom and dad, fell out and they practically threw everything out into a social life dustbin, you and I wouldn't be there. They always patch up so that life continues. And I think Zimbabwe has the capacity to talk to anyone, uh, anywhere in the world, to explain its position. In this case, we are simply defending the election result. The outcome of the majority of the people in this country is that, let me put it this way, Vamunangagwa should be president, and he will be president. That's what it is. So those that see things differently, they are most welcome to put them on the table, and government will listen to them. Where differences before with many people, haven't you been talking to them? We have been, and we've been narrowing our differences. So what's unique about this? Don't read too much into this. The world is big, life goes on. Zanu PF will be back in office. The president is in control. The people of this country have nothing to fear because everything that has happened in the last 5 years clearly shows you have a leader who is determined to make a success of this country. The record is there for everyone who wants to. We can't be held at ransom because one comrade Chamisa wants to be president. He declared himself president before the election. He declared himself president during the election. He declares himself president after the elections. I don't want to say he's a lunatic, but maybe in political terms he is. And because no rational person behaves like that. How do you declare yourself a winner before the election has even taken place? And you know it. You live in this country. You heard him say that. Who says that? And they are still a very normal person who desires or who is asking the people to bestow on him such a huge responsibility to lead a nation. No, you can't. You have to be sane, you have to be sober, you have to be patient, you have to embrace everyone. And all those qualities I'm talking about of a desirable leader, they reside in Comrade Dr. Edith Nagago. We are, we are not, we are not light-minded people that just follow for the sake of it. The president is what it takes to protect this country for everyone and create conditions where you and I can find full expression of what we're looking to. It doesn't happen in a day. Why do you think he says to people, brick, upon brick and stone upon stone? Why do you think he says that? Everything one step at a time, one thing at a time. That's just how the normal life works.
We understand that President Mnangagwa garnered 52.6% in his presidential race, and Mr. Chamisa had 44%. When you said the margin wasn't that big. So as you are going to form the government as ZANU-PF, would you be able to work with him since he's someone who is influential?
Well, why do we work with somebody who's got a different ideology? Why do we work with somebody who gets instruction from a foreign country? Why do we work with somebody who is saying this, as soon as I'm in office, I'll bring all the white people to come in here and come here and do things for you? Why do we work with somebody who has an ideology that's not even very clear? We're not too sure exactly what he stands for. Why should we do that? One, two, a win is a win regardless. Even if we won by just one extra vote, it is still a win. The decision goes with us. In this election, the winner takes all. It's at our discretion whether we invite him, but if we're going to invite him, he needs to be baptized into Zanu PF. If he's not baptized into Zanu PF, he becomes a danger.
So saying Chamisa should join Zanu-PF.
No, what is he waiting for? Because he has nothing to offer. What is he waiting for? And then when he comes, we take him through Chitepo School of Ideology so that he's not a danger to society. So that's how I look at things. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Comrade.
Okay, guys, you take care. Thanks a lot. Good.